Hi everyone. Sorry, just to get your attention. Apologies for the technical issues. I was here 3 years ago and we faced the same technical issues as well. So it just so happens, right? My name is Ari. My background is in technology. So I've spent the last decade at Lloyds Bank leading the public cloud arena. I've come from a family of academics. So I've been following the journey of CBER quite closely, and I recently wrapped up my executive MBA at Henley Business School. So I have a lot of familiarity with the kind of academic system as a student. So effectively what I've come to you with today is a proposition. So CBER as a business, and a lot of the conference-related or journal-related platforms is all about getting exposure for your research. So how do you get your research out there? How do you get it seen? How do you get the right level of exposure? How do you get the benefits translating into the practical world or the commercial world on the back of your research? So effectively, CBER does a great job with that, right? We're all in this room. We've come from different universities. We've come from different countries. It's really international in nature. And a lot of the content that's being presented is excellent. So my journey in the last year has been, how do we scale that? You know, we're in one room talking to each other, engaging with each other. How do we scale that using technology, as we've done with other platforms, right? So we had a couple of hypotheses. The first one was collaboration barriers. There are limited tools for researchers to collaborate, let's say in the space of peer reviews, or identifying other academics that are studying in a similar field that could potentially want to collaborate on a paper. Collaboration exists also with student and researcher relationships on a mentorship basis. And there are various other elements as well, particularly community elements. The second is on a visibility basis. How do we bring our research out there? Now, you will have seen we're in a new generation. AI has taken over. I was in this very room 3 years ago talking about generative AI. And at that point, it was very, very controversial. And obviously, we've seen ChatGPT and other generative AI tools have taken over and changed the way that we work. So since working on that business 3 years ago, that's been moved on and to pick this up. But visibility is huge, right? We spend a lot of time doom scrolling. So for those of you that have TikTok, that have Instagram, that have LinkedIn, I guess is more professional, but people doom scroll. People spend time watching garbage and sometimes spend time watching content that's productive or relevant or helpful. The visibility challenges in the academia world is huge because you're talking about research papers, you're talking about a lot of content, a lot of reading, and sometimes for individuals, it may not be engaging unless you put it in the right format because people have short attention spans. The next few hypotheses were around fragmented ecosystems and also outdated systems. Now, the technology world, that's kind of in a less regulated framework. I think with obviously academia, it's a lot more official and a lot more governed, particularly when you start publishing in journals. But content elsewhere that businesses use, things are evolving, technology is evolving, right? AI, as it was a year ago, is very different to as it is today. And 12 months on, it will have evolved 100x. So we then put out a survey, which I'll also share with you all. If you could help me with the survey, it'd be massively useful. The respondents were primarily academics, so researchers, faculty. Then we had a smaller percentage of undergraduate students, postgraduates, etc., etc. The fields represented, similar to CBER, you know, business, finance, economics, engineering. And on the back of this research, there are a few hundred participants that respondents that gave us responses. There was a clear unmet demand for a secure, collaborative, globally connected research platform, enabling early stage sharing, so I'll get onto that shortly, monetization, mentorship, and access to international opportunities. So this kind of gives you a flavor of the different responses in regards to being able to network with researchers internationally, conferences and events, peer reviews, the shortfalls in peer reviews at the moment and the complexity behind the process, being able to mentor students or being mentored themselves, and just more generally engaging in research networks. So in terms of the solution which we've now built using modern technologies, we've got an integrated research repository. So obviously you've got research repositories that exist, Google Scholar, etc., etc. We've got one that's integrated that gives access to be able to create video abstracts using AI. So going back to my old point about doom scrolling, I want to create a platform whereby using research, early stage research or published research, we can create video abstracts and engaging content that the general public can consume eventually. Initially, it won't be for the general public. Initially, it will be for the academic community and also students. But eventually, we want research to go, global and far, as far wide as possible to the general public. We have global networking. So the process of organizing a conference, of managing a journal, identifying which conference is appropriate, is quite archaic at the moment. I think the operating model and the processes behind, running a conference, managing a conference, applying to a conference is quite archaic. So this system will automate that. It'll also include mentorship features and a framework that supports peer reviews, because I learned that it's very difficult to get them to do a peer review for a piece of work and vice versa. It takes a lot of time and often it's hard to find incentives. So this platform will introduce you to people. It will be tokenized, so people will have incentives to do things. And also, we are trying to get to a point where we can monetize on research. So as soon as you start putting content out there, current platforms obviously offer facilities whereby you can track analytics. So you can look at things like citations, you can look at how much exposure you're getting for your research, and there's different metrics that analyze that. Whereas we want to take it to another level and be able to monetize on research on a subscription basis or on a traffic basis. So, yeah, wrap up really quickly. So, yeah, so there's a few bits on competitor analysis and how we differentiate. But the call to action here is we have launched our MVP in terms of the UI at the end of this month. The features will be available for you to consume. So I'm going to share on the chat a survey link. I'd appreciate if you could complete the survey. And I'll also share what our UI is looking like. And hopefully at the end of this month, we'll have a fully functional product and I'll present you the demo. So all I'm asking for here is feedback and responses on the survey so I can fine tune it and get it right for our customer base, which is academic. That's it for me. Thank you.